There is a good argument to be made about belief and manifestation. On one hand, you really need belief to manifest. It's actually the only thing you need. On the other hand, maybe you don't need it at all. You just need to stick with it. Let's start by reading a small paragraph from Neville Goddard that really gives you one of the keys to manifestation. And then let's talk about how to cultivate belief. All right? Very important video on manifestation today for you. So listen up, pay attention. Let's start with the paragraph from Neville Goddard. When this belief, and this is from Your Faith is Your Fortune, when this belief is so firmly established that you feel confident of results, your desire will embody itself. How it will be done, no man knows. I, your desire, have ways you know not of. My ways are past finding out. Your desire can be likened to a seed, and seeds contain within themselves both the power and the plan of self-expression. Your consciousness is the soil. These seeds are successfully planted only if, after you have claimed yourself to be and to have that which you desire, you confidently await results without an anxious thought. If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of my desire, I shall automatically draw the manifestation onto me. Consciousness is the door through which life reveals itself. Consciousness is always objectifying itself. To be conscious of being or possessing anything is to be or have that which you are conscious of being or possessing. Therefore, lift yourself to the consciousness of your desire, and you will see it automatically outpicture itself. To do this, you must deny your present identity. Let him deny himself. From Mark 8:34. You deny a thing by taking your attention away from it. To drop a thing, problem, or ego from consciousness, you dwell upon God. God being I am. Be still and know that I am is God. Believe, feel that I am. Know that this knowing one within you, your awareness of being, is God. That is what I always tell you here on the channel. You are an extension of God. Close your eyes and feel yourself to be faceless, formless, and without figure. Approach this stillness as though it were the easiest thing in the world to accomplish. This attitude will assure your success. When all thought of problem or self is dropped from consciousness because you are now absorbed or lost in the feeling of just being I am, then begin in the formless state to feel yourself to be that which you desire to be. I am that I am. And the moment you reach a certain degree of intensity so that you actually feel yourself to be a new conception, this new feeling or consciousness is established and in due time will personify itself in the world of form. This new perception, listen up, will express itself as naturally as you now express your present identity. Okay? Very, very, very important page. What Neville is telling you, I know this was a long page, and hopefully you're still here. What Neville is telling you is believe is just sticking to it. You already believe in things, right? That is actually what the paragraph ended with. That what you right now believe is what expresses itself in physical reality. And you already believe in the unseen. You already believe that next month is going to be just as hard financially as this one. You already believe that your coworker is going to discuss with you later today. Or so you have these internal moments all the time where you dwell in how things can go. And that is believing in the unseen. Esther Hicks would tell you that belief is just a thought you kept on thinking. It's familiarity, and that's actually what builds the conviction. So when we talk about how to solidify belief, I want you to know that it normally and automatically solidifies if you stick to it. You are choosing from the unseen. You're choosing not to go in that direction with your belief. It's a choice. And then you will say, but I just automatically go to a different place. Yes. That is how your brain is wired. That what you pay attention to will start to connect in the brain. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You're the awareness, you're the consciousness behind that brain. And you can start to observe new thoughts on choice. You can start to believe, tell yourself that you believe in new stuff, right? So we have to choose belief. No, we don't have really to gain the naturalness of it to begin with, because the naturalness of belief is rehearsal, right? And I've met a lot of people that when given a task that is something to be mastered, they try it once and they do not succeed. And maybe you're one of these people, or maybe you just recognize people that they do this, and they try it and fail, and they will give up on it. They will say, yeah, but I cannot figure this out. And you will say, but obviously you cannot figure this out, because it's not something you can figure out the first time you try it. And it's the same thing with believing that you are rich. You don't have to take yourself down. The first time you walk around a day telling yourself, I'm rich or I'm healthy, not believing in it. Well, continue. Continue until that state of mind, until that attention, that you take awareness and you focus it on something, until it solidifies, and you will be given something to believe in where you have taken unseen and really made it seen. Continue until that point. So just stick with it. You have a choice. And most people are choosing to believe in bad stuff, because they think they cannot do otherwise. But it's just, they're just caught up in this habitual loop of what parents told them and what society told them. I can only believe in what I see. But you're not believing in what you see. That's the problem. You're just creating stories with your mind. Before going to a party, you will assume all sorts of stuff. Before going to work, you will assume all sorts of stuff. Before going to bed, you will assume all sorts of stuff. And the only thing that you need to do is assume differently. And I'm stating it like this, not to put you down and say, yeah, but if you think it's hard, you're wrong. I'm saying it actually to pull you towards my point of view, which is it's easy. And that's also an assumption. It's an assumption what you want, but it's also an assumption to say that it's easy to get what you want. Every perception layer is just another assumption standing in the way. Some people call that chakras to be healed. Some people call that the shadow. But you're the light. Awareness is the light. God is the light. And you just take that light and you shine it through that shadow. And say, I will stick with my assumption that I'm healthy, or loved, or rich. I will stick with it. Right? So what part of the unseen will you focus on? That is actually what matters. That you start reframing yourself and imagine yourself to be different. That you build a new character this year, where things you would not like to create is stuff you stop putting attention on. I've told you this quote from, I think it's from the Quran before, where it says, nothing will happen unless it was first written in the book. And that is actually an analogy of you creating your outside world with your internal dialogue. And most of you will have written an entire book before going to work. An entire life of just pure nonsense that you will create and see in your external reality tomorrow. So you will have to recognize that any emotion, any thought, any sentence you say is an affirmation. If we decide that I am rich, that sentence creates reality. Then we will also decide, so does any sentence. Right? Obviously that makes sense. So when you go up in the morning, okay, what should I eat? What should I do when I come to work? I cannot pay this bill. What about this? What will John say to me? I wonder if there's a parking spot. Do I need to fill the tank in my car? What about this? What about this? What about this? You know, you'll have this. You will waste your consciousness, and you will say, "Yeah, but I don't know how to manifest." Well, you do. You do it all the time. We all do, right? We will have to take a lot of that attention, that spotlight, that flashlight that we talked about in another video, and we will shine it on what you want to create. So you will have to fix your speech, your internal dialogue. But there is nothing to fix because this is your natural state. And you will know because it will feel very good. So I'm not saying you cannot participate in the world. Obviously you can. But you will have to recognize, where do I participate in a way where I create what I do not want? When I walk around paying attention to something that simply is not in my best interest. And if I cannot gain anything from thinking about it, let me stop thinking about it. And the best way to remove something from your mind is to wither it away. It's to stop watering it. Just like Neville told you in that paragraph. It's simply to stop paying attention to it. But I cannot stop paying attention to it, you will say. But you can. I see it every day. In clients, in you here on YouTube, you can do it. And Esther would tell you, if you cannot go into the now moment, go to another thought. So have these character reference points, I call them, where you will build a house of faith, which is the things you want to describe yourself as. So the easiest way to do this is to write down a list of what problems you have right now. What do you desire? Which means, what do you think you lack? And then you will write the opposite. You're the opposite. So if you think you don't have enough money, start describing yourself as rich. If you think you are not in a loving relationship, start describing yourself as one that is. If you think that you are not healthy, start describing yourself as one that is. And know that house of faith to be where your character checks into. So when mind starts arguing, your old manifested mind, your awareness, the observer inside you, manifests the mind. Okay? And that is solidified material. We'll talk about that in another video, how manifesting with mind is useless because you're trying to manifest with something that is already manifested. You instead have to control the field, which is your awareness. Enough about that in this video. But we will take that and we will simply start arguing with it. Not to have it have power, but to see through it. To see, my old mind is my old house and I have moved. And I don't have to continuously say that I still live there, because I don't. I have taken my furniture. I have painted this new house in colors that I like. Right? And I will start describing myself as that. Without belief. With choice. Creation is choice. And if you've seen, there's a lot of movies about this. What is this popular movie right now? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, or something like that. It's actually a very good movie on the point of how choice really makes a difference in midwifing new results in your reality. There's also this old one, the butterfly effect. How just small changes in a behavior affects your future. You change timelines all the time. You quantum jump all the time by shifting thoughts, by choosing behavior, right, in your own best interest. There's this funny guy on my previous YouTube that told me in the comments, or told other people, warning, this guy is trying to hypnotize people into being delusional. And I wrote, and thereby having it all, right? I'm simply asking you to take care of yourself. Instead of believing a story that other people tell, society tells, external reality tells, you get to decide the story. Why should anyone besides yourself decide what is true for you? And what you decide to be true about you is what you know to be true over time. And that's the law of knowing at play. What you know, your story is what manifests. And then your inside world, your definition, will naturally express itself to create paradise on earth for you, where you get to have exactly what you want by assuming you have it. So that's the page from Neville. That is what it talks about. Stick to it. When you know that you are an extension of God, you also know that you have an important choice to make. Whether or not you will realize that power and start choosing, or you will leave that power and listen to the devil. The devil is your mind. It absolutely most certainly is. When you read the Bible, the Quran, when you read these pages and you read about the devil or Shaitan or Iblis, you read that it's so obvious that who drove you away from awareness, your consciousness, source, who drove you away? Your mind. When you start arguing about whether or not you could have it all. And you don't have to remove mind. Mind is a wonderful gift that will help you realize your desire. But mind is a tool. So you'll have to see through it. And when it goes on auto mode, correct it. Until it starts going auto mode in your direction. Until it starts automatically assuming that you are rich. And it's just an instilled program. So to end this video in a simple way, yes, manifestation only requires belief. And yes, manifestation doesn't require belief. It simply requires a choice to believe. Stick with it. You can do it. Talk to you soon. Get out of here. Bye.